Good morning, guys and girls. Welcome to episode 35 of the Be More podcast. I'm excited. I'm a little bit upset this morning. So, England went out of the World Cup last night, just to give you some context of when this is being recorded. So, it is Thursday, the 12th of July, and we're at the second half of the year now. So, I'm going to go over my thoughts because I've had a quick look through social media this morning in the last few minutes, and I'm seeing some criticism and negativity around the World Cup exit. Now, this was inevitable. It was always going to happen. And the thing is, if you'd have told these people who are posting these negative comments, right, that we're going to make the World Cup semi-finals, we're going to build an unbelievable energy around the whole country, and we're going to have an unbelievable 3 weeks whereby families are going to come together, friends are going to come together, pubs are going to be full, the community's going to be thriving, and everyone's going to have a really good 3 weeks, and it's going to be positive for the country. And we're going to go out in the semis in extra time to a very good side with some very good players. Every single person in this country would have taken that, and they'd have been delighted and they'd have been excited to watch that. And not only that, but the Euros are 2 years away, and I'm excited for them now. Like, I've never enjoyed watching England so much. Never. And I think it was the quarterfinals when we played, and we were class. And I never have actually, so last night we were driving to my uncle's to watch the game, and we were playing England songs the whole way there. And I've never done that before, and I was singing them out the window at people, and they were going, "Come on!" And everyone was just excited. Everyone was wearing England tops. Everyone had face paints. Like, it was just really exciting. And I've just seen it as that this morning. I've woke up and I've been grateful that I could. It would have been nice if we had gone to the final. But I was watching the game Tuesday when France beat Belgium, and I was thinking, these boys are decent. So I know this isn't really relevant to the podcast, but it is. Because England are being more. They've put together an unbelievable team. Southgate's got the lads believing in themselves. And these are all key traits that we need to apply to our life as well. Now, this isn't the topic of the podcast. The podcast today I'm going to do, I'm basically going to go through the presentation that I went through on Monday morning when I spoke in front of my biggest audience yet. And there's so many positives and that you can relate to how I've grown over the last few years to be able to deliver a presentation to that many people, because previously I couldn't. And just like how the England team and squad has grown together as a team and as a unit from disciplines that have enabled them to get to a semi-final, and arguably probably should have gone through had we have done a few little things extra in that game. Like, Harry Kane missed an opportunity, which 9 times out of 10 he probably would have scored. And I generally think we just looked at it a little bit tired in the game. And could that then question our fitness? Because the Croatians had played extra time the 2 games prior, and they looked fitter than us. So yeah, just interesting to look back at that. But then you can think critically about it, and then I'm sure that Southgate and the coaches are going through that with the boys today. But there's so many positives to say from it, including the fact that we had some players that looked unbelievable, who know that undoubtedly going to get big moves this summer to bigger sides, which is then going to be opportunities for them to then play in Europe every single week, which then helps them as a player to develop. So when they come and play for us next, for England, we then got some better players, because if you look at Croatia's midfield yesterday, Brozovic, I'm sure he's Inter Milan, Modric, he's Real Madrid, Rakitic, he's Barcelona. These boys are just different class, playing for different sort of class teams, and that if you imagine how much better they're going to be as a player as a result of playing in them sides and training with them players every single day, versus players who we had in our side who do play for good sides, but they're not Real Madrid's. They're not working as closely with attention to detail as these teams are. And when you surround yourself with people at that level, it's only going to bring you on as a player. So that's the exciting part to take from it. So many positives, and I'm excited. I'm not sure where the Euros are in 2 years' time, but I've never really been motivated to go and watch England before, but I want to go and watch England now. So it's motivated me. I went to watch them getting to Italy before the World Cup, and I just thought we look rubbish. I went to Wembley to watch it with my dad, and we both said to each other we got no chance in this World Cup. But then last night we're there, more passionate watching England than I've ever seen us before. So yeah, definitely positives to take from it. Don't be that guy posting negative comments, and also don't be that guy biting to people putting negative comments, because they're always going to be there, and they're not waking up this morning with the mindset of what a great time. They're waking up thinking, damn it. And this is too much. This happens too often in our culture. We're constantly filling our heads with negative thoughts rather than thinking gratitude, perspective, and like glass half full rather than glass half empty. So what we're going to do is, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to bring up the presentation now that I actually went through. So if you listen in the car or on your walks, then I'm going to try and make this as passive and as audio friendly as possible. But if you are someone who has access to YouTube and you are at home and you're not actually doing anything, you might want to listen to this podcast on there, because I will go through the presentation at the same time. But like I said, I'll make it as audio friendly as possible. But yeah, enjoy this episode, guys and girls. It's basically my story to a point, and what disciplines I would recommend to people in a corporate world, or any world really, because it was for a corporate business. But this is more for people with any kind of goals, and what disciplines I would recommend putting in place, and some books that I've read that have helped me to develop myself as a person, and what I'd recommend for others based on fitness, health, mindset, business, self-development, and all these different areas that I do feel come under one area that you can just really work on improving, which is yourself. So yeah, enjoy, guys. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. This is the Be More podcast. I am your host, Jack Williams, and this is a show all about health, nutrition, mindset, and performing at our very best. And this is going to be your catalyst to being more. Okay, hopefully you can see the presentation if you're watching on YouTube, and hopefully you can see me in the corner talking through it. So this is a presentation that I delivered for a business on Monday morning in front of 300 people. Now, if you haven't seen my videos on YouTube or Instagram talking about this, then just to give you some context, I couldn't even talk to a stranger or deliver any kind of presentation or do any kind of public speaking. There'd be no way until maybe this year. I think I'll maybe start to feel a bit more developed to a point where I could try, but still be nervous and still have knees shaking like a shitting dog when I'm doing it. So it's definitely been a journey that I've come on to make this possible. And I can tell you now, when I was at university, I had to deliver a few group presentations, and I would do all it took to ensure I had the minimum amount of words to talk about. And I would even pay money to not do it, not present, because I hated it that much. And the fear of public speaking for me was awful. Like, put me on a plane and throw me out of the air 20,000 feet, I would take that all day long rather than public speak for 1 minute. Literally, I just feared it so much. And even prior to my first speaking event this year, when I got asked to do it, I was very, very close to saying no. Very close to saying no. Like, it would have been easy for me to say no, right? Say, oh, I'm busy that day or whatever, and make an excuse. And if I had done that, it would have been a very big mistake, because not only did that open up so many opportunities for me with regards to my own business, and that have been life-changing, by the way, from doing that one public speaking event, but I also met Robin at that event, and I wouldn't have met Robin if I didn't do that. So I'm so grateful that I made the decision just to be ballsy enough to do it. And I've read so many books now that have said to me, just when you get an opportunity, even if it does sound scary, do it. And I always kind of remind myself of when I jumped out of a plane in Australia, because it's something that I've not really been motivated to do massively, but I was scared to do it. So the opportunity came up, and we couldn't really afford it, to be honest. But I had to overcome that fear of doing it. So I went and done it. And I can't tell you, I wasn't that nervous for it, to be honest. Not compared to how I felt for this first speaking event I did this year. I was nervous for that for about 3 or 4 weeks, and that's the only thing I could really think about when I was passive. like driving or whatever, I just feel sick. So I was listening to audios, but it wasn't going in because I was just worried about this presentation. But that doesn't happen anymore. I normally don't really get nervous, take a few minutes leading up to it, and then them nerves normally fizzle out within the first 5-10 minutes. Which, yeah, I've asked for feedback, and they've said that I didn't sound nervous. So obviously I can better myself in them. But if you have given me feedback, by the way, thank you very much, because it does mean a lot, and I really want to improve in this. So yeah, I'm talking now about the presentation rather than delivering on the presentation. So let's crack on. Otherwise, this could be a mega long podcast, and I don't want to take up all your week. So yeah, I shared first of all some of my results that I've had with clients over the last few years, just to give everyone there a little bit of context and to show them I'm actually pretty good at what I do, and I'm not just there just to fill up their Monday morning. Because on a Monday morning, basically they go through recognition for everyone's performance in the past week. And then they'll have like a 10-15 minute Monday motivation talk, which normally the manager or whoever's been asked to do that talk within the company will deliver on a certain topic about goal setting or how they can go and hammer the weekend and little things they can apply. And this week they asked me to come in and talk about like goals, disciplines, and basically how the last 6 months of the year has gone now. What can they do to refresh, think about the next 6 months, and how no matter what's happened in the first 6 months, these next 6 months are a big opportunity to go and make this 2018 massively productive. And I generally am a big believer in that, because I don't really work in yearly cycles, I work in quarterly cycles. So I was just like, you've got two quarters now to work through this, hammer this. So here I'm sharing my story, how I started being a football player, and I was very skinny, very weak on the ball, and it was one of the things that held me back, I think, as a football player. So I decided to get myself in the gym, and I started lifting, and it was a slow process because I didn't really know what I was doing. And then I fell into self-development, and I fell into how it all underpinned the same thing of discipline, like going to the gym on days where you didn't want to, but you still go, that kind of discipline, like sticking to your diet, etc. It taught me a lot that now I can now relate and like transfer over to business, if you would like. And same with my self-development, the reading in the morning that I do, and in the evening. So I try and bookend my day now with reading. That takes discipline. It honestly does. It sounds simple, but when you get up at 4 in the morning to read for an hour, that takes discipline to not press snooze and think I'll just get up at 5. It isn't going to make a difference if I don't read today. But the difference it makes over the space of a year, like if I get up at that time and read for an hour every morning for a year, that's 365 days of reading for an hour. Like that's a lot of growth if you're reading the right books and you're thinking about the right things. And if you do half an hour in the evening, which is my goal as well, then all of a sudden you're accumulating a lot of time working on yourself and developing yourself. So yeah, the disciplines that I've learned from training, I'm now trying to transfer into business, and I'm finding it really, really useful, I think. And also, as well as that, I've done a lot of traveling, which has opened my eyes into so many things, right? For myself, when I was a bit younger, I had massive blinkers on. I didn't really see what was out there. I didn't understand different cultures. I just thought this is the way it is, and that's that. Whereas now I've seen different cultures. I've seen how different people view the world differently based on different circumstances, and I'm just like, basically, two people could have the same issues, and one person would deal with them differently to others. And I didn't really see that before. I was very naive, and I used to think if you're a plumber, you're a shit hot plumber, right? Whereas there are some good plumbers and there are some bad plumbers, and you never know what you're going to get, right? So I was very naive before to think that everyone would be good at what they did, and everyone would see the world either glass half full, glass half empty. There wouldn't be different perspectives, there wouldn't be different attitudes, there wouldn't be different mindsets, there wouldn't be all these different stories. Really, everyone's got a different story, and I've just become addicted to bettering myself. And there's different things along the way that I can look at that have been areas that have helped me to develop as a person and helped me to grow as a person and helped me to be able to deliver a podcast called the Be More Podcast with confidence that I can help people to be more as a result of listening to this, because they might find value in a certain area which hopefully I'm sharing with you guys. And yeah, there's photos in this clip of me when we drove what I can only explain to be like a little camper van almost through the whole of Australia, through the East Coast, sorry, and what an experience that was. And if a lot of you know me, that was incredibly challenging to do that. Like I'm the kind of guy who showers 2, 3 times a day, um, sticks to a very regimented eating program based on what makes me feel good. All of a sudden, I had the opportunity to shower once every 2 or 3 days. Um, there'd be no air conditioning. I'd have to sleep in very hot conditions. Food wise, there was no control over what I was eating. It was just whatever was cheap enough so we could continue to travel. And yeah, it was there was no internet. There was no plug in to charge my phone. Like it was just completely different to what normal life was like for me. And that taught me a lot. I learned a lot on that trip. And I feel like I'm much more better equipped now to do that again versus when I first did it. Because within a few days, I was like, we ain't staying in this thing anymore. We booked it for 3 weeks, and I was like, I'm done. But obviously, as days went by, I began more confident in the fact I could deal with it. And by the end of it, I was actually sad to see the thing go. There's also pictures here when I graduated university, when I competed, done courses from other mentors that have helped try to teach me when I went up to 100 kilograms, and now I'm like 78. So I went up for a phase trying to put on a lot of weight to try and get myself a bit bigger, a bit bulkier. And that was out of insecurities really from being skinny before. Whereas now I'm completely happy and content with how I look. It's just a case of slowly making progress and being a bit stronger, being a bit leaner, being a bit fitter, And I don't really try and bulk and cut like I used to. And these are all lessons that I've learned from my own story. So when I was 21, this is my mindset that I had. I had a very fixed mindset. Like I mentioned there, I didn't see the world for how I see it now. And that's very important for you to realize as well, because if you're younger and you're listening to this podcast, I know a lot of people who do listen are a bit younger than myself. If you think I've always thought of this, then you'd be completely wrong. Like I had a very, very fixed mindset. I was just the class clown, really. Always up for having a laugh, wasn't engaged in conversations, wasn't engaged in lectures at university or in college or at school, wasn't academic at all. Like now I read every day. Before I didn't read anything. Like even at university, I paid 20 grand to go to university for 3 years. I didn't read a single book whilst I was there unless I really had to. And even then I didn't want to read it. I'd read just the bits that I needed to reference it for my course and for my dissertation or whatever. And it wouldn't, like now, if I had the opportunity to do a dissertation, I would thrive. I would love it. But then I saw no value in it. I had no purpose. I had no reason to get excited about it. And that's my perspective then. Whereas if I look back, I'm just like, I regret a lot of decisions that I made back then. In particular, I've got a picture here of gambling. Like through university, I've shared this on the podcast before, but I gambled over £30,000 at university. And I shared this in the presentation on Monday, and they all were very shocked. And I was like, "Don't stress, I won 30,800 back or whatever. I was up, but it was not worth the stress and the addiction I had for it throughout the whole of university." So I didn't like uni. I wasn't engaged in any of the lectures or anything. So I would sit at the back on my phone with a pal, and we'd gamble on tennis in bloody Yugoslavia or somewhere weird like that. And it'd be banter. But all of a sudden, it wouldn't be £3, £4, £5 bets. It would be a score, 40, 50, 60, 100 quid on a game with tennis players. I didn't even know who they were, and there was games that I bet on that were fixed. And I'd read up after that it was fixed, and I'd be like, "What the hell is going on here?" And I would gamble every single day, and I didn't think I had a problem, but looking back, I obviously did. And I've just got a very addictive personality. I think most people have, really. It's like escapism. And yeah, that's what I did. So I also drank a lot of alcohol. I also binged a lot on bad foods. And yeah, I was just one of them. I was just a Jack the Lad, really, who wasn't very good at being a Jack the Lad. I was just not a very good drinker. I would piss about a lot. I'd be leader of the banter at football and stuff, and I would. My spare time would consist of watching Netflix, But what I did do to give myself a little bit of credit was I was disciplined with the gym. I was disciplined with, I say disciplined, but I watched motivational videos probably once a day, different ones on YouTube. I'd sit in my bed or at home, wherever in the house, and quietly, because I didn't want everyone else to hear, because I didn't want them to think, oh, watch that, listen to them stupid Americans speak all that roo-rah, or I'd do it quietly or with headphones in. And every day before the gym, I'd listen to something motivational, and I got into that almost. And it almost become like a perceiver, like I wouldn't go to the gym unless I'd watched a motivational video before, and I'd go over there and I'd boss it based on everything that I've heard. And I still almost do that to this day. I still look for motivational content. I still look for inspiration from videos and books, etc. So yeah, some things don't change. But then I had a very, very fixed mindset, and my week, which consists of getting through Monday to Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or even Thursday for most of the week, would be just getting drunk. And yeah, it was almost like just enjoying my youth and doing what everyone told us that let us believe would be the enjoyable way to what you're supposed to do when you're 18 to 21. Go out and get pissed 3 or 4 nights a week, and yeah, and kind of have no real goals to work towards. And I don't regret any of it, and they've all been like, I don't regret any of it, put it that way. But I just wish I had someone on my shoulder telling me, like, whilst you're doing all this stuff, Jack, put some foundations down to things that maybe I wasn't laying foundations with my gym work, and obviously getting my degree and learning bits here and there slowly. But yeah, if I look at the progress I'm making in my life now versus then, like I'm making more progress in 3 months than I did in 3 years then. So, but yeah, you're not supposed to know. I think life is a journey, and I'm grateful for everything that's happened, and I do write that down most days, that I'm grateful for everything that's happened in my life. And it's when you take ownership of everything and accept it and don't hide it. Like I never used to admit the fact that I had a problem with gambling, or that I used anabolic steroids at one point, or that I was a muppet. I wasn't academic. Like I would almost hide that because I thought it would negatively impact my business or whatever. Whereas now I'm completely open. I'm like, I'm not academic. Like if I can do it, Jesus, anyone can. And basically, after university, I qualified as a personal trainer because I didn't want to get a job, and I got qualified as a PT. Was expecting to get a job in some kind of gym. Like when I said I didn't want to get a job, I didn't want to go into teaching just yet. I thought I'm going to do a few years yet. I'm not really figured things out for myself. I'm just going to go to a gym and see what happens, because that was the environment I enjoyed being in most. But I was very worried about mixing my hobby with my career. But I did it because I thought it would be the easiest option. I thought working in a gym would be easy. So I got a job in the gym. It was a self-employed role. But within a few months, I was told that if I didn't pull my finger out and start acting with more ownership, take responsibilities better, and deliver on the tasks that I was asked to do, if I didn't do that, I'd lose my job. And I wasn't being paid. But obviously, for the gym that I was in order for me to PT, I had to do work hours to be able to personal train in that gym. Now I still am in the same gym, but I pay rent rather than do the hours. When I did that, I went into rent very quickly anyway. But yeah, I got told if I didn't put my finger out, I'd lose my job. And 1 month later, I got PT of the month. So basically, the guy who told me this was my manager, and he was also my mate. At the time, he was the assistant manager, and he said, "Look, Jack, you can't keep doing this. I've been told that you can't keep working here if you're going to continue to behave like you are." And at the time, the manager was in there as well, and I laughed about it and joked about it, and they were like, "You're not taking this seriously." And I didn't have a mature bone in my body. I was just a joker, and I wasn't taking myself or what they were saying seriously. But now looking back, like I'm so grateful that they said to me, "Stop being a prick, Jack." And all they did was they saw potential in me, and they just saw me ruining it and wasting it on just trying to be an idiot and building up and living for a false ego, and I was still getting pissed every weekend, even though I was a PT, and I'd rock up into work on a Sunday morning, so I had a shift from 11 till 5 on a Sunday, and I'd rock up for a class at 11:15, hanging out my house, still pissed. And then I would sit there in the afternoon watching the football on my phone rather than tidying the gym like I was supposed to be and cleaning up and talking to members and being a good person to be in the gym, like building a good vibe. I'll be sat in the staff room asleep or watching the football. If management come in or they check cameras, I'll be in trouble. So this is how much I've changed. And that one meeting where they said, look, please stop wasting your opportunity. They didn't actually say that, but now I've looked back, I know that's what they meant. They were just saying you're being a twat. And I was just laughing back at them because I had no serious bone in my body. Whereas now, like, I'm ultra serious in most sense because I know that I'm only ever going to get out what I put in. And yeah, so that's taken me to today. I read a book on mindset that week, and it taught me about fixed mindsets versus growth mindsets. And I was actually chatting to a friend of mine on social media. So I don't actually know this guy, but Jordan, if you're listening, he's listening to how you doing, mate? He's reading this book that I read on mindset after I got told that. And I saw it on his Instagram story the other day, and I was like, unbelievable book. That book changed my life. And he's now reading it. He's actually traveling the world, and every morning he's reading a book, like, or a big section of a book for like an hour, and then he's doing all his traveling. It's just so good for me to watch his stories every day, and it's inspiring for me. And he's actually agreed to come on the podcast when he finished his trip as well. So I'm so excited for that, like so excited. But yeah, that book talks about how you can have a fixed mindset, which most people have, versus a growth mindset. And a fixed mindset is basically acceptance for where you are, that things aren't going to change. And that's how your life is always going to be. And if you think in your head, if you think like that, and the people around you that think like that, it's pretty common. Whereas a growth mindset is like a mindset whereby you can, if there's something you want to learn, then you can learn it. If like there's challenges out there, then you can grow to be able to complete them. Just like I have with my presentations and like my podcast, my vlogs, everything in my life, like I've got better at because you can grow as a person. You can get better at things that you aren't a tree. You aren't so still, and that you can change, and that you can get feedback and learn that's constructive and that can help you improve, and you can try new things and get better at them. And like it's like anything, right? And so yeah, I've got a different mindset now. My time is filled with different things. I don't spend my spare time watching Netflix very often anymore. Instead, I'll be listening to audios or reading with my girlfriend or writing things down like goals and stuff, and or doing a charity event, trying to raise money for charity, or interviewing someone for my podcast to try and share inspiration for people. And I've got this mindset now that how you do anything is how you do everything. And whether it be a gym session, whether it be a conversation with your uncle or your auntie, like just, or anything that you're doing, like the mindset you apply to it is the same mindset you'll apply to everything else in your life, and it's all transferable. And just apply that perspective, right? A glass half full rather than glass half empty to everything in your life. Be positive rather than negative. Be optimistic rather than pessimistic. And yeah, it's just incredible how much my life has changed in these 5 years. And I'm excited to think, where will I be in another 5 years' time? Because I know now that my daily disciplines are so different now to what they used to be like. And your life is a result of the things that you do daily. Like, I think there's a saying, it's going to really annoy me now because it's one of my favourite sayings of all times, and I don't want to get it all wrong. But I'm going to have to come back to you with what it is because it's going to really annoy me. But yeah, it's one of my favourite sayings. Anyway, we're going to continue. So another book that I've read is called The Compound Effect. And I went in to talk about this book in the presentation. The accomplishment of any goal is the progressive accumulation or compound effect of small steps taken consistently over time. So that's your screensaver right there. If you want to think about how you can have a growth mindset, like honestly, it's the progressive accumulation and the compound effect of small steps. Like think weight loss. Think you want to lose 20 pounds in 10 weeks. Think how you can reverse engineer that into monthly and weekly goals. So think, all right, got 10 weeks, that means I've got to lose £2 a week, which means over the space of a month I've got to lose £8, which means daily my task to look like that needs to be calorie deficit, good nutrition, exercise, move more. Like, my energy balance needs to be favourable to that goal. So therefore, what do my daily habits need to consist of? Food prep, or like a good eating habits list, or tracking calories, or whatever tracking method you're using, or non-tracking method, however you're trying to bring calories down and increase your expenditure and how much you're moving. Like, what is your plan? And then how consistent can you be to that approach? Because it is the progressive accumulation of them small steps taken consistently over time is going to give you the result that you want. And then you've got to think of, how am I going to then sustain this past that 10 weeks to ensure that I lose the 3 stone and keep it off. Because everyone can lose weight, but it's keeping it off that is the actual skill. So I then go on to talk about fitness and health disciplines. So exercise in a way that you enjoy. So I previously would do these presentations and be like, right, here's the science, here's what you need to know, blah, 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 blah. And I would feel that the engagement would go. People wouldn't be engaged because they want to know that they can do it. They don't want to know that there's a scientist out there who's measured the most optimal way to do things, because it isn't practical for everyone. And if it was, like, everyone knows the research, right? It's always there for everyone to go and get. But the practicality is that people can't follow it. Hence why there's more and more people that are overweight. There's more and more people that are unhappy. There's more and more people going through mental health issues. There's more and more people that are unhappy, that are financially struggling, or that are lacking purpose and lacking any kind of like meaningful activities daily that make them feel better as a person, or relationships. Like, we're suffering, and it's because we don't get told that it isn't about being optimal. It's about being consistent to a way of doing things that's fun, that's enjoyable, because that's the only way you're going to stick to it. Diets have a self date, like a sell-by date. They have like a time in which they end. Lifestyles don't. What habits can you improve in your lifestyle? What disciplines can you add into your lifestyle that will add value? Exercise in a way you enjoy, because you're more likely to do it. Move. The business that I've done this talk for, they sit down all day. They're very sedentary. The majority of the world is nowadays. Therefore, what can you do to ensure you're moving a bit more? It might be to buy an Apple Watch. It might be to get a Fitbit. It might be to track it on your iPhone. But just keep an eye on how much you're moving. If you're doing 2,000 steps a day, there's no wonder why you're not losing weight if you're eating too many calories. And you don't need to eat many calories to eat in a surplus when you're moving that little. So yeah, move more, build good habits. What food choices are you making? Are you hydrated? Are you drinking enough water? I'm actually going to drink some now because my mouth's getting a bit dry. Are you hydrated? And are you sleeping well? Are you keeping on track of your sleep? Do you understand the benefits of sleep? Do you understand the consequences of not sleeping enough? I don't think people do. I'm going to do a podcast solely on sleep soon, because I've done a lot of research on it recently, and it's unbelievable. Unbelievable some of the things that I've learned. And I used to think that fitness, training, nutrition, and sleep would be the 4 segments, right? The 4 cores to body transformation. And they equally have their own part. Now, I think that sleep is what is the most important thing, and everything is pinned underneath sleep. Because at the end of the day, you can't train hard and recover if you aren't sleeping well enough. You can't follow a good diet if you don't sleep well enough, because hormonally you would not be in an advantageous position to stick to a calorie deficit, or to stick to a calorie surplus, or whatever kind of diet you need to follow, simply because leptin and ghrelin are out of sync when you aren't sleeping well enough. So this is hugely disadvantageous with regards to dietary compliance. And then mindset, if you're not sleeping well enough, like, willpower is compromised, your creative ability is compromised. If you're trying to think of like a training program, or you're trying to, everything is compromised if you don't sleep well enough. If you don't get like at least 7 hours in at night, like your motivation, your positive headspace, like everything is just is negatively impacted. And then not even to mention the fact that as a guy, if you sleep 6 hours versus 7, you're adding 10 years onto your testosterone profile. So I'm basically right now, because I had 5 hours sleep last night, and I've not been getting 7 hours for quite a while now. My sleep habits haven't been advantageous at all, and I'm self-aware enough to see that, and I'm really annoyed. But I'm going to try and have a nap this afternoon. So come on, cut me some slack. But yeah, I realised that I'm not performing optimally because of that, and you're also at a greater risk of heart disease, a greater risk of cancer, a greater risk of diabetes, and all these things that compound over time with inadequate sleep. People don't realise they're not sleeping enough, they're not exercising enough, they're overeating consistently, and I can see it in people, and it scares me. Like I see it in my dad, for example. Dad, I'm going to actually make you listen to this podcast. I'm going to send it to you. Listen to it on your way to work or whatever. And like, I've just got my dad on a diet, and I'm saying to him, right, you need to see value now in exercise. He's got his gym membership at work activated. He's going to go in the mornings before work, and like, I need him to see the value, and I need him to see the value in sleeping. Like, he's not a very good sleeper, and these things will compound over time, and it will make him unhealthy when he's older. Like, when I one day, or my brother has children, like he's going to have to be a granddad, and like he'll struggle because he's overweight. Like he had a health check recently, and he realised that cholesterol was high, like blood pressure was high, all these things because he drinks a lot of alcohol, he's stressed with work, he's not sleeping very well, he doesn't support his diet. Like his diet, he makes bad choices with his diet. He's always eating like he's basically a chef. So he doesn't do chef anymore most of the time because he's moved up into management now. But I think where he's always cooking for work, he gets home and all he wants to do is chuck something easy in the oven or have something that's easy. Whereas he can build a habit of making fresh food every night because he's skilled to do so. It's just that discipline and seeing value in it. And these are things that I'm introducing as habits along the way. Like I've got my healthy breakfast plan now, and I'm trying to introduce more healthy supplements into his diet to supplement the fact that he's not getting the right food in his diet. And yeah, like I'm going to help him, just like I'm going to help my mum, just like I'm going to try and help every single person that I can between now and well, forever, because that's what my mission is to go and do. Like I'm learning every day about nutrition, about habits, about sleep, about all of this stuff, and I want to make people in the world a healthier place. And if I can do that via inspiration, via motivation, and via belly to belly conversations or whatever it might be, then that is my goal to go and do that. So yeah, if you're listening and you think this is something that you want help with, like don't wait, don't honestly see value and just seek help, seek accountability, and then just learn. Like if I've wanted to do something, I've gone to someone or a coach or a mentor and I've said, can I pay you? I want to learn. Like, and this is the growth mindset at work. Whereas if you think that everything is always going to stay the same and everything is always going to suck, or that you're always going to be unfit, or you're always going to be fat, or you're always never going to have success in your job, or you're never going to move up in the ladder, or you're never going to see the world because it's not practical based on your income or whatever it might be, or you've got too much debt, like things can change. In order for things to change, though, you have to change. And this is the small disciplines that I want you to try and start implementing for that to happen. So, how to plan. So I was asked a little bit on planning and then how to sustain a goal and how to sustain what you've got to. So planning in the morning for me is huge. Like I've got a morning routine that I go through where I do gratitude, set goals for the day, write down my to-do list, write down when I'm going to try and do it, write down my priorities for that list. So here's my list. That's all well and good, but if I go and then do the easy things and don't do the most meaningful things and impactful stuff, I'm not going to make any progress. I'm just going to tick the list of being busy and not productive. So therefore, what on that list, the priorities, what's most important, what's going to move the needle most from where I am to where I want to be. Do them things first while you've got your most willpower, while you're most creative. Do the hard stuff first. And there's different ways of doing this, that you can do the easy stuff first and do the hard stuff later. It depends on you as a person. Like I'm a morning person, therefore give me my most creative, most difficult things to do first thing in the morning and I'll smash them. Give me them in the evening, I'm going to struggle massively because by then my willpower's dropped and by then I'm just not as creative. Whereas if you're an evening person, save that stuff for later, become self-aware of what works for you, go all in on that. Like I just know what works for me, and it's this. So, for example, this morning I started work a little bit later. I got up at 4, read for an hour. Now I'm doing my podcast from 5 till 6. From 6 till 7, I'll edit a vlog. 7 till 7:30, I'll have breakfast with Bob's. Then I'll get to work. And then got clients all morning. I'll be back home this afternoon. I'll probably have a little nap. Might go for a run, a swim in the sea. And then from 3 onwards, I'll have 3 hours of positive work because I've had a bit of recovery time. After a busy morning, I know that my drop off will be about 1 o'clock. So then I'll use that as time to recover if I can. And then I'll go again. And everyone has a drop off at 1. It's just the human body and what we're designed to do. Everyone will tend to have a drop off at about mid afternoon. And that's when normally we feed ourselves with caffeine or whatever to get through the day. And this is where like Western Europeans have a nap or whatever. And there's advantages to be had from that. These people live longer. It's proven. So if you can, if it's practical for you and if it's doable, use that time to have a little nap. Like for example, I see my dad have a nap every day when he gets in from work. And I used to take the piss. Whereas now I'm like, keep doing that nap. Like it's going to make him live longer. Trust me. So yeah, daily actions, reverse engineered from your goals. Like whatever goals you've got, therefore your actions daily are going to have to be in line with that. If you want to get there, that's what you have to fucking do. Like, and then every night review your day. What have you done? Have you ticked off things? This is all stuff that I spoke about in my last podcast when I said about writing things down. And then these are weekly reviews as well. I appreciate this getting quite long now, so I'm going to try and wrap up the rest of the podcast and the presentation as quick as I can. So if it feels like I'm rushing, I can always do 2 parts. But yeah, how to execute. And this is all about having your why. Why are you doing this? Like, have you seen how fired up and how enthusiastic I'm being right now? It's because I'm talking about like my why, like my parents, how I can impact them and health, and how I want to help people that I care about, and even people I don't know, because I'll grow to care about that person because I build relationships with people and I want to help everyone. And this is something that I'm passionate about. These goals that I've set, and I really want to do it because we live in a world where we're suffering, and I want to try and influence and change that with as many people as I possibly can. So set a standard in your life to stick to that why, stick to it, and then be like, right. So for example, people say, Jack, how do you get up at 4 in the morning? This is how. I've got a reason why. I've got goals. I'm not going to get them if I get up at normal time. If I live a normal life, I won't do non-normal things. Like it's not normal for a 26-year-old guy to think I'm going to change the world, and that's how I think. That isn't. None of my mates share that same mindset, and that isn't because they're wrong. That's because they have different goals and different whys. But mine's this. Therefore, I know that I have to do things that others aren't prepared to do to have that kind of impact. And if it means getting up at 4 and reading for an hour, working on myself and learning every day for the next 15 years until I'm 41 about different things on the human body, on philosophy, on science, on practicality, on leadership, on management, on people skills, on whatever it might be, then I'm going to do that. And I'm going to continue to grow because I've seen that I can change as a person. I might not be academic, but I can improve in areas that I'm passionate about and that I want to grow. So that's what my intentions are. And I even want to learn about the human gut, on capitalism, on consumerism, on all sorts of stuff, right? There's things I want to learn about. And yeah, that's my goal. And how to execute, have gratitude, have perspective, have grit. Like if there's a book that any of you can read, like it's a book called Grit. It's awesome. It's by someone with the surname of Duckworth. Can't think about the first name. It will come to me though. Read that. Awesome. Buddy up with someone. Make sure that person you buddy up with is positive. Like I'm a big believer that you're the average of the people you spend your time with. Surround yourself with positive people who are growth mindset based, right? Whereas if you buddy up with someone as a training partner who is fixed mindset based, you ain't getting nowhere. Trust me. Then be accountable to yourself and the people around you. Tell people what your goals are. Share them with them. They'll hold you accountable, whether you feel like it or not. They're watching. They're going to see, and they're hoping you fail like they have. That's where you go, no, I'm going to do this because then it's going to have a positive knock-on effect and it's going to inspire them to think, Jesus, if he can do it, then I can too. And how's best to maintain it? Find a way that you enjoy. Like, honestly, that's the most important thing here. Like, it isn't about the destination. It's about the journey. If you don't enjoy the journey, you're never going to get to the destination. And even if you do, you aren't going to be able to stay there because you're not going to. You haven't got methods in place that enables you to get to that point and stay there anyway. And the bonus tip is audit your circle. That the people you surround yourself with, that they're everything. And I genuinely mean that. Like I've spoken about it before in previous podcasts. Like it's so important. And then I was asked to talk about rewards and milestones, which for me, like I said before, it's about the journey for me. It isn't about the destination. So I don't really believe in that massively. Like I've got goals in my head, and I've got areas that I want to work towards, and I've got things that I want to do. But for me, I just love the process. I love the journey. I love the grind. I love the the fact that every day I'm trying to do different things and accomplish new things and move the needle and be more successful and have more impact and help more people. Like that for me is what it's about. So yeah, I'll have an ultimate goal, and I've got yearly goals, and I've got quarterly goals, and I've got monthly, weekly, and daily goals. But and I've got that micro speed where I want to work really hard and really fast now. But I've got a mindset of it's all long term. This is all for the 5 year time. This is all for when I'm 41. This is all for in 10 years' time when I want to make my parents financially and time free. But these are all different things I'm thinking about in my head, and I know that if I graft daily now, then things are going to happen because I can just see it. My vision's there. Whereas before, I wouldn't have that. And this is grown. Like if you're listening to this and you're 21, I was like what you're thinking if you are thinking like that. And if you're thinking, oh, that sounds like how I am now, I gamble, I go out drinking a lot, like I'm trying to buy Muppets, I am a Muppet. Like, guess what? That was me. And I was probably a bigger one than you are. So, like, think macro mindset. Think, where will I be in 10 years' time if I change my life and do these small disciplines and I'm consistent with them and I change my circle and I change the people I surround myself with and I change what I'm reading and what I'm watching to things that are more positive for you rather than things that are detrimental, like playing games on your Xbox where you're shooting people all the time. But yeah, that can be fun. But if you're constantly doing that over time versus doing something like going for a run or reading a book on self-development, but imagine how much your life will change of doing them things versus doing things that aren't so positive, right? So yeah, the best advice I've ever had. I've got a few little slides here, but like I said before about Jim Rohn, if you don't like how things are, change it. You are not a tree. Like screenshot this if you want to, post it on social media and share it with people. Make them think you're not a tree. You can move, you can change, you can do whatever you want to do. Realize that, like, you are not stuck in one place. You can go and live anywhere you want in the world. You can go and do anything you want to do in this opportunity of a life that we have. Do it. See it as that. Don't see it as I'm stuck in the job till I'm 70, then I'm going to be retired and have a pension that isn't going to be able to afford a life that I want to live. That sucks. Don't do that. And yeah, advice I've had before is two things can happen to the same people. It's not what happens to us, it's what we do about it. And the picture, if you're looking, is of me and George from the weekend. This guy's got cystic fibrosis, he's 28 years old. He was told he wouldn't make his 20s. Like, he was dealt a card and he was not going to live a life that was accustomed to what he was told was going to happen. He was like, no, I'm going to create my own story. I'm going to write my own book. Thanks very much. He was like, I'm going to pay into a pension, I'm going to pick it up. So when you say I'm going to live till I'm 19, I'm going to shove that up your ass when I'm 70 and I'm on the golf course or I'm in the gym and I'm influencing people with CF to live a positive life where they can think they can make their own life rather than be told they're only going to live a certain amount of years based on a book that's done on research on people that live life in a certain way. Like, I'm not going to live my life that way, therefore I'm going to last longer. Legend of a man, and people like that, and the people you want to surround yourself with. Another one, Gary Vee's favourite, spend time with old people. And the things that they'll say, that go to old people's homes or go see your grandparents. I wish I could have done that. I wish I could do this. Like, I wish I could do that. Like, when you get older, there's things you can't do anymore. And we live in a generation now where it's practical to travel the world, like I said about Jordan earlier. My nan and granddad couldn't do that. The only way they would travel is if they were in the Navy or whatever. And yeah, that wouldn't be to travel to go and see places like Jordan is. That would be to travel to go and shoot someone, to fight for your country. It's a different thing. We live in a world now where opportunities are massive. Like, see it as that, see it as an opportunity, see it as the world is there for us to go and take. Like, Another bit of advice is to lose one and lose a friend and gain one positive one. Like, your circle matters, and travel is the only thing that you can buy that makes you richer. These things are all true. Like, glass half full versus glass half empty. Positivity and optimism over negativity and pessimism. Like, these things are real. Think this way. Trust me, it will change your life. And get out your own way. And here's some useful books that I've read along the way, and journals that you can use. The Best Self Journal, The Slight Edge, The Compound Effect, 12-Week Year, all game changers. And if you want more after you've read them, then speak to me, because I've read hundreds and hundreds of books now, and I can share so many of you that will undoubtedly change your life and will change the way you see things, and will change then your daily actions towards the goals that you've got set. So yeah, I'm so grateful that you've listened. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. I'll be honoured if you would share it with someone who you feel like it would benefit from it. And yeah, typically I'll get maybe 100 or so listens to a podcast. If you can then share this podcast with 2 or 4 people that you know, then I can all of a sudden get 300 people listening to it rather than 100. And then that can have a knock-on effect, and then 300 can tell 3 people. And then we can get more people listening to this podcast on how to be healthier, how to be fitter, how to eat a better diet, how to be motivated, how to set goals, and how to improve, and how to live a life where you've got a growth mindset rather than a fixed one. And hopefully I can get more guests on to share their story to try and inspire people as well. So yeah, thanks very much for all your time. I'm super grateful that you've decided to listen to me today. Do me a favour and leave me a review. Subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, have an incredible weekend. Hoping to post this on Friday. So yeah, have a great weekend. Enjoy it. It's a shame we're not in the World Cup final, but we'll go again. And the boys will improve. And everything will improve. We'll all get there. And I'm excited, because that's the way I see things. That's how you should see it too. Thanks, guys. And I'll see you in the next one.